my daddy. I need you. Come and help me. I need a deeper experience with you than I've ever had before. Come down upon me and fill me with yourself.
Now that we're at this time where the world really is at an end, I'm very, very grateful.
This isolated dirt road leads to a group of people who are waiting for the world to end.
People who don't receive me will be lost and destroyed. People who accept my testimony will be saved.
And this is the man who's led them there. He calls himself Michael.
I love you.
He says he's the Son of God.
Remember, I'm responsible for you.
For almost 20 years, he's prepared his followers for the end of the world and says that time has now come. I came to find out how he runs his cult and see what would happen when Doomsday finally arrived. And he gave me unique access to film inside his closed community.
And the people of the prince that shall come.
He said I'd find a story of love, faith, and devotion. I did. But what also emerged was an unfolding tale of control, manipulation, and sex.
I took off my clothes and I laid naked on his bed, and he just held me, and it was like a whole new picture opened up to me of God.
Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry.
In a remote, arid corner of New Mexico, 50 miles from the nearest town, the members of Strong City are counting down the months until the end of the world.
I think I really feel a lot relief that it's the end.
Yeah.
Esther and Danielle were the first people I filmed after arriving here in April 2007.
It's like that's what Father's saying now, just a little bit longer and you're gonna come home. Where you were meant to be.
Yeah.
It's like we weren't made to live on this earth away from Father. It's just gonna be awesome. We leave this world behind.
It was astonishing to hear young people talk with such longing for the end of the world.
It's sworn in the Bible that it will occur. It will end, and so we have our heart set on that, on the promise that we were given, that this will happen.
So you're looking forward to that time?
Yes, with all my heart.
Precious friend and Father, that everything you designed for us is ordained by heaven.
This is Michael, the 66-year-old man they worship. 7 years ago, he declared himself Messiah and convinced his followers God had revealed a prophecy to him that signaled the apocalypse. And he told his followers that they must achieve death to self or be lost when the end comes on the 31st of October, 2007. And time is running out. Cult members spend their days in painful introspection and deep self-loathing.
This is the 490-year prophecy talked about in Daniel 9. It's actually a 483-year prophecy.
This is Jeff. He would be my guide inside the cult.
Hi, Father.
A former cop, Jeff is Michael's trusted lieutenant
And then she said,
and his son.
"Are you saying you don't sin anymore?" Well, it's a great honor to be closely associated with Messiah, and to be somebody that he would count as one of his most intimate associates. It's proof that God doesn't pick good people. He just picks whoever's willing.
Are you not a good person?
I'm not a good person, no. I'm very evil.
Michael is my best friend.
Jeff and Michael were very keen that I viewed their extensive home movie collection. One film alone was an epic 4 hours long, detailing every aspect of Michael's life. What it revealed was that, like many cult leaders before him, Michael's former life was a troubled one.
They're standing just about where this tree is.
Why was I born?
From tragic childhood,
Why was my mother killed?
through adolescence,
At 14, I was kidnapped and assaulted by a homosexual man.
to his days as Wayne Bent,
Perverts on
the Seventh Day Adventist
sexual
minister,
satisfaction.
deserted by 2 wives.
I began to hate life and to see most human beings as demented and disgusting in their lusts and in their behavior.
Jeff said his dad usually spends the day with God. But soon after we arrived, he found the time to tell me about the momentous day the spirit of Michael came into Wayne Bent.
One day, by myself, I was in my trailer, and I sat down in my chair just relaxing, and there was nothing on my mind in particular. And then God said to me, "You are Messiah." Certainly by no instruction from me, 2 witnesses, these 2, left their homes, left their families, and it wasn't at my instruction or behest. It just occurred.
But these women aren't just devoted witnesses. Michael insists God commanded him to start having sex with both of them. He convinced their husbands, who were still in the cult, he was just following God's orders, and told them to direct their distress heavenward.
It was a battle between me and God. And it was like Michael was on my side. He said, if you're angry at God, go tell him. Michael was my way through it.
Now all marriages and families are dissolved. Members' names have been changed. They've had to give everything they own to Michael. Only the most devoted remain, including a few children who've grown up here. This is 15-year-old Matthew. His parents left 3 years ago, but he and his sister Tiara have stayed. I wondered why a child would reject their parents in favor of a self-appointed Messiah. So Jeff took me to the hut where Matthew lives and arranged an interview.
What is Michael to me? Well, he is the Messiah. He is to me, he is Christ's return in spirit into Wayne Bent. I don't know how I would say, you know, I don't know how I would explain that. It's, yeah.
Matthew is the only boy left in the cult, and he cuts a lonely figure. His savior seems more interested in the girls. Last year, Michael held a ceremony with 7 virgins to mark the world's impending doom. One of the volunteers was a 14-year-old girl Michael had renamed Healed. Her parents had also left the cult. But at the end of our first week of filming, her parents were on their way.
Well, I just learned a little while ago that Healed's parents are coming to get her, and possibly will be bringing the sheriff with them. Healed is a minor, so she is legally under their authority, but they have allowed her until now to live here with us, and she's wanted to live here with us.
What's changed, do you think?
I only know secondhand, So I can't say from their mouth, and I don't really want to conjecture. But I was told that some of the rumors concerning us originated with them. But I don't know that for a fact. That's something you'd have to ask them.
You can't be more specific what the rumors are.
I think before I'd want to talk to Michael before we made that a subject of your film.
With Heald's parents just a few minutes away, Jeff's edginess and reluctance to talk about these rumors made me wonder what the Messiah might have to hide. The parents of Heald, a 15-year-old girl in the cult, have arrived with the sheriff.
They are going to take her and prevent her from having any contact with her friends here. Even though she does not want to go with them, she wants to be here. This is where her friends are, and this is where her life is. They are going to take her by force. Hi, Father. They're taking Heald to get her things now. The sheriff threatened us with arrest if we have any contact with Heald at all.
Her parents left the church just 6 months ago, after they stopped believing Michael was the Son of God. But their daughter remained in the cult, replacing her parents with Michael and his 2 witnesses.
My true mother.
Who could stand against us? Our God is with us, Emmanuel, Emmanuel, our God is...
For the first time, I saw how those who had left were judged by the remaining members of their family in the cult.
I told him, I said, you're not my brother. You're not like my brother.
What was different about him?
He was dark inside and kind of cold. I mean, it's like hugging the devil.
It'll be okay.
Be good.
Mm-hmm. Father stays with us. Mm-hmm. Right here.
Do you think she'll be back, Jeff?
I don't think this is the end of it.
Heald's parents didn't want to be interviewed, and Jeff wouldn't say any more on the subject. I seemed to be in the middle of an unfolding drama and wanted to know why Heald's parents had suddenly decided it was time their daughter left the cult.
We are no longer on the earth. We are no longer on the earth.
Before joining the cult, the members were Seventh Day Adventists, brought up to believe in Christ's return and a day of judgment. But in 1989, Wayne Bent promised them a life without sin, and they joined his breakaway from the Adventist church. They spent over a decade following his teaching and living with him in Idaho. Then, 7 years ago, shortly after uprooting them and bringing them to this isolated spot, he declared himself Messiah.
Sing hallelujah to the Lord.
And now they seem to be completely under their leader's influence.
Blessings on you all. My heart loves you much.
despite attempts by ex-members to expose him. It was a few days after Heald had been taken from Strong City by her parents, and Michael said he wanted to show me something that had appeared on the internet.
See if I can find this. Oh, here it is. Here it is. These are the kinds of things they write about.
It was an article that included accusations from a recently departed cult member that Michael had been lying naked with several of the girls from Strong City.
Travesser lying nude with his virgins.
Is this all in reference to Heald leaving?
Yes, the whole thing is.
I couldn't help feeling Michael was showing me this as an exercise in damage limitation. It seemed he'd been more than a little selective when telling me what had been going on here. Michael said he hadn't told me about lying naked with the virgins,
There it is.
simply because I hadn't asked him.
I'm not keeping anything from you. I am answering your questions. And I am asking you, what do you want?
I think we probably should look at this article and then come back to you.
Okay.
I decided to visit Esther and Danielle to find out from them what had happened.
I don't know, it was probably in the beginning part of July. Michael wrote a post about how the only way to kind of like come to resolution in your life is to be naked before God.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, how are you naked before God? I mean, he sees you when you shower, you know, you lay on your bed, he knows everything that's inside of you emotionally and the things that are in you. So how are you naked before God? It just puzzled me, you know? But it was like something was in me, and what was in me was, this means really. This means literally, physically naked. And it was in me that it meant with Michael. So I said, well, Michael, I said, I've been having this thought that I just needed to come up here and take off all my clothes. Really? And he looks at me and he kind of smiles. So I said, shall I? And he thought for just a minute. He was quiet, and you know, I know he was listening for Father's instructions, and he said, you may. And so I did, and then he said he would hold me, and I hadn't even thought of that. It was just, it hadn't even crossed my mind, but
you just knew you need to get naked with
yeah,
it.
I just knew that this needed to be literally physically naked. And so he took me, went to the bedroom and laid down, and he held me, and somehow it was like all of heaven was open to me. Somehow I started to see God. Well, somehow, as the Son of God holding me.
Yeah.
And so I'm laying there, and I was like, for the first time, I was like, God loves me. He loves me. And Michael was saying things to me like, you're accepted, you know, you're healed. And I felt so secure. It was like, I don't ever want to leave this place. It was like this was God holding me. So, and then, you know, the next day, Father sent you.
Yeah. My experience was, you know, similar to yours. I took off my clothes and I laid naked on his bed, and he just held me, and it was like a whole new picture opened up to me of God. We just weren't the same after that.
As with the witnesses, Michael said these events were all God's work. He said he was ready to talk to me honestly about his conduct with the naked virgins. So we arranged an interview in the barn where prayer meetings are held.
Oh, big mirror. Okay, would you hold it?
After his witnesses had prepared their Messiah, he was ready to answer my questions. Why did they want to lie naked with you on the bed, do you think, Michael?
Well, it was God. God came down on them and told them to do it.
Why naked?
Nakedness is another symbol of our relationship with God.
We are naked and unashamed.
But of course they thought they were lying skin to skin with Father, in effect.
Yes.
Not with a man.
Yes. And I treated them that way. And so I treated them with the same respect and deference as if I'd been a physician, an MD who was doing surgery. MDs are with naked people. And they do, MDs even put their fingers in women's sexual parts. And they call it pap smears or whatever else they do. But
you don't think there's a distinction between a doctor and yourself?
I would say no. I would say I would have more authority to touch the soul than an MD would. MDs aren't prepared for what I've had to do. An MD is far more likely to think of sex when he's doing something to a woman in her private parts than I am. I don't look at people like that.
Esther told me that after she'd lain naked with Michael, he'd gathered the rest of the girls together, saying he needed 7 virgins for an important ceremony. And over the days that followed, 5 more virgins came to lie naked with Michael. 2 were underage, and one of them was healed. The girl we filmed leaving with her parents.
Do you know what the state law is about being in close physical contact, naked in your bed with a minor?
Well, Jeff knows what the state law is.
I don't have anything to say right now.
Okay.
I don't think this is an appropriate time.
Okay. Okay.
But you are aware of the state law on this?
Yeah, I am. I'm not going to get into the legal discussion on camera with you.
Desperate to get even closer to God, the virgins pleaded with Michael for a full sexual experience. Heald's desire was so strong, she wrote that if things didn't change, she would kill herself. Then, just when it seemed Michael would do God's will, he says God stopped him, saying it was just a test of faith.
I'm very sensitive what God says to me, and I must obey my Father's instructions. And having sex with minors was not his instructions. I am the embodiment of God. I am divinity and humanity combined. And I'll say more than that. I swear it by the one who lives forever and ever, that it's so.
Just as we finished the interview, the heavens opened. If Michael had had sex with an underage girl, he might have wound up in prison. It seems God has charted a safe course for his son. Either that, or Michael makes it up as he goes along. Though his grandparents and sister are still with him inside Strong City, 15-year-old Matthew spends much of his time alone. He truly believes Michael's prophecy may mean the end of the world in just a few months' time.
And I like being alone.
So what do you think about when you're on your own?
A lot of times I pray. And I think about that over there. I think about, the planets, stuff like that. I just think about it and try to, I don't know, I just, pull this out.
No children attend school here. Michael says it's a bad influence. It seems it's down to Matthew to educate himself, and he was keen to show me some clay models he'd made.
This is Jupiter. This is Saturn. This is Uranus, Neptune, and this is Earth.
So Matthew, if you believe that the end is coming, then do you feel there's much point in learning stuff?
I've thought about that. And, you know, about the planets. I've thought, well, what am I doing learning about them? It does seem useless.
We're not taking anything with us but our character when we leave. And we're going to leave. We're going to leave the earth. This isn't our world. Our world is the next one. And we aren't going to be here anymore. On October 31st, 2007, at midnight is your deliverance.
As the end of the prophecy drew nearer, the cult's yearning for Doomsday and their journey heavenward was building.
Those demonic forces that have been torturing you for your lifetime.
But stories of Michael's behavior were deeply troubling family members on the outside. Worried about the cult committing mass suicide and what Michael might do next, Matthew's mother, Pam, had traveled the 1,500 miles from Washington State to the compound. Pam, a former believer, was coming to get Matthew and his sister, hoping they would join her in her new life away from the cult. She was clearly nervous about being back. I could hear her heart beating on the microphone.
Are you ready?
No, you
need bags or anything?
No.
Okay.
I got that done already.
Okay. Is this your stuff over here?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll give you a hug and a kiss. Right here by Mommy.
Michael had told the children not to resist, confidently predicting God would reunite them soon.
See you here, there, in the air.
I'll be missing all of you.
Yeah.
After 3 weeks in Strong City, it was also time for us to leave. But I sensed an uneasiness in our guide, Jeff. So before we left, I sat down with him and his wife, Christiana, to talk about their experiences of Strong City.
I think Christiana would have made a very good mother.
In my time here, I thought I'd heard everything. Then Jeff delivered an incredible revelation about his dad, the Messiah.
God came down on Michael and forced him to consummate with Christiana. I mean, it was a terrible, strange act of God. He did an astonishing thing that I was astonished, and so was Michael.
Michael had made no mention of sleeping with his son's wife, and I got the feeling this was a story I wasn't supposed to hear. And when Michael found out I knew, he asked me for an opportunity to explain just how God had made it happen.
I stood up like this, and suddenly I was forced down on the floor, and I had to get was down just about like this. And I was in pain, and all I could do was groan. All I could do was kind of rock. And I started seeing that the consummation with Christiana was imminent, and I was going to be, I was going to have to do that.
I was just laying awake and I was thinking about coming over here. And I said to Father, I said, when I go over there, if Michael invites me in, I will ask for the consummation tonight.
So was it just a single occasion, this literal physical consummation?
No, it wasn't.
But you consummated more than once?
Yes, yes. Yes.
Why is it necessary to consummate more than once?
Could you not answer that question yourself? When you marry a wife, do you consummate only once? Does she stop being married to you after your wedding day?
The world, they would look at it a different way. You know, they would just see that an affair happened or something. But that's not what happened.
I finally understood why so many can't wait for the end of the world and the bodily ascent to heaven that Michael has promised. The last 7 years has left many broken, crushed by what Michael has put them through. He agreed to let us return in the few months left to see what the end of the prophecy would bring. Four months later, we were on our way back to New Mexico. It was the end of October with just a few days remaining until the end of Michael's prophecy. We made a stop to visit Matthew and his sister at home with their mum Pam. We planned to see how they'd coped with life after Michael. But the children were gone.
And now we've changed into a playroom.
They'd returned to Michael and the cult.
Taken all the pictures down on that he had in here. So, yeah, this was his room.
Pam said her daughter Tiara starved herself until she was allowed to return. On Michael's instructions, her children pressured her into signing custody over to their grandparents in the cult. Finally, she gave in.
That was the hardest thing I'd ever had to do because I didn't want to give up my children. And the thing is nobody could see how hard I fought for them. Or care.
What can you do now, Pam? Is there anything left you can do?
No. The only thing I can do is just wait for the children to have eyes to see that Michael is Wayne Bent, and he's not what he says he is.
With the prophecy due to end in little more than 48 hours, we drove back to Strong City. I didn't know what to expect, but it was clear the group would do whatever Michael asked of them. He'd said he didn't believe in suicide, but other groups have said that in the past, and ended up dead. Jeff met us at the gate. He was grayer and thinner than when we were here last. Hey, Jeff. How are you?
Very good.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you.
It is a defining moment, and it's a time I believe God's people are going to be vindicated and the world is going to be judged.
That sounds kind of final.
It's final. You can take that to the bank. We're done.
How is Michael, Jeff?
Well, he's very solemn.
Yeah.
And he's really at his end, I guess. You can get a sense of that when you speak with him, but he's all finished. You know, he's 66, come to the end of his walk on this earth, you know, his purpose for being here.
After all the waiting, it was time to pin Michael down about what we could expect at the end of his prophecy.
It might be best here to take our shoes off.
If the Bible verses are exactly fulfilled according to what they say and when they say it, the 31st midnight would mark the change.
How do you mean?
There may be a body change. That's what Paul meant by we will be changed. He was speaking of the body change, and that could occur.
And what would happen to your body in that event?
I would receive a new one.
So, but after midnight on the 31st of October, there will be some major change in you on that?
There will be very, very radically so, yes. Isn't it his responsibility to take...
Michael seemed to have shifted the emphasis away from apocalypse to a kind of extreme personal makeover for himself. But he said he didn't want us inside the cult on the big day.
And I told him that.
So we sat down for a final interview. Not only had Matthew and his sister returned, so had Healed, against her mother's wishes. Why do you think your mum didn't want you to come back here?
She told me one time that she thought I was brainwashed. And I thought, yeah, I am brainwashed. Michael has washed my brain of all my own corrupt thoughts.
How was it up there?
One way it could be described as hell.
It was hell?
Yes.
Living with your mum?
Yes.
Started telling us things that weren't true about Michael.
Like, what does she tell you?
That he's perverted and gross and weird and all these things that I know aren't true because I know Michael. And I told Father, I said, Father, if I have to stay here, just kill me. I can't handle it. I felt like I was literally going to go insane.
Here, the children are taught, follow your conscience, do what God tells you.
See, people outside say, well, you know, it's fine if you're an adult and you join a group like this because that's a choice you make. But when children are born into groups like this, they say, well, these children have not really made a choice about it. They've been born into it. And that this is the world that they know. This is the only world that they know.
Excuse them, guys. They're laughing at you because they know very well they made a choice. These children have found life. They've found the more to life that your world does not possess.
They wouldn't know that though, would they? Because they've never really had an opportunity to experience it properly.
How do you experience the world properly?
When it's not skewed by your interpretation of it.
Well, let me tell you then, my son and I were raised in your world. I was educated in your world. I know very well how empty it is, and it goes nowhere. All you got is your DVD movies, going to the cinema, waging wars, paying your debts. That's all you have. When really, the world properly is to hear God speak to you, have Him fulfill His purposes in you, and feel the exhilaration of just talking with angels, where you do real things and not just things that keep your lusts satisfied for a while.
But doesn't this group just satisfy your needs, Michael? This church is really about your needs, isn't it?
No, it's about my sacrifice. I've sacrificed my life for them, and it began 7 years ago. My life is theirs. Everything I have given to them.
That's true.
Michael was not used to being challenged, and I could see the contempt in his eyes as he tried to stare me down. If he truly believes his own divinity, why has he so crudely manipulated his followers? I found his complete refusal to take any responsibility for what he's done here chilling. Like cult leaders before him, Wayne Bent has created his own universe, regardless of the cost to his followers, even his own son. He's a man who's lost control of his ego, and any attempts to reason with him seemed futile.
Did you have any more questions?
I don't think so.
I'll see you later.
Bye, Michael.
Bye-bye.
I know that people think we're going to commit suicide and whatever, all this stuff, but I can't comprehend it in my mind because the only view I feel like I have is the view that Father's given me. I do know, though, that nothing that happens will disappoint me.
Take care.
Okay. We will. We're being taken care of.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye, Willow.
Goodbye.
Okay. Thanks very much for everything.
Well, I miss you guys.
Hope everything works out as you wish it to.
It will. I don't know what it'll be, but I know it'll be good.
It was a few minutes before midnight on the 31st of October, as we drove back to the cult. We were in the last moments of Michael's prophecy. Though I got the feeling the world wasn't about to end, I was worried that for the members, it might. By the fence, it looked like they'd been smashing up Halloween pumpkins. Michael said he didn't want us inside the compound, so we waited at the gate to see what midnight would bring. And then, at the stroke of 12, a strange horn blared from speakers close to Michael's house, and we could hear ecstatic voices. Suddenly, Michael was leading his followers out of the compound and up the road towards us. The cult's members seemed jubilant, but I couldn't see that anything had changed. And as Michael stood surrounded by his delirious followers, It reminded me of the story of the Emperor's New Clothes. And that was it. After proclaiming their freedom one last time, they walked back into Michael's world.
Hello?
Hello, Jeff?
Yes.
Jeff, it's Ben here.
Yes.
We're by the fence.
Okay.
I know that Michael said that there wasn't any real prospect of an interview after the 31st. But I was hoping to find out from somebody how things have changed now that the end of the prophecy has come.
Well, the prophecy's over.
Well, because I was wondering, what's happened to Michael? He said he might be getting a new body.
I'm not aware that that's happened yet. He will be getting a new body.
He looked the same last night.
Uh-huh. Why don't you direct that kind of question to Michael? I don't really think he would want to be interviewed again.
So you don't think there's any chance that we could see Michael today then?
I would say that there would not be any chance at all whatsoever.
How about you, Jeff?
I've said enough, Ben. I don't have any desire to be interviewed again. I've given you my full story.
Are you still expecting to leave the Earth, Jeff?
Oh yes. Yeah, I have no life here, no future on this Earth, and I burned my bridges a long time ago. This world is doomed, and God is going to destroy it. So I don't really care what anyone thinks. I don't care if God disappointed me 10,000 times. I'd rather live in one of his tents than in the mansions of wickedness.
Okay. Thanks, Jeff.
Bye.